What's up, everybody? I was, I think I was on Facebook today. Yeah, I was on Facebook. A friend of mine was on there. He's a freestyle MC, and he was having trouble writing verses. He basically said something like, I've been freestyling for years and I can freestyle for days, but every time I sit down to write a verse, I hit writer's block. I can't get past like maybe even one line. So there's a few things I could recommend to anybody dealing with writer's block, writing verses, or they can't. Like with this formula, I wrote this verse that I'm about to use as an example. I wrote this in under 10 minutes, just basically using this formula. And this is just what popped into my head. I told him this is my exact words I told him on Facebook. I said, hey man, I said, I'd recommend writing a thesis statement before you even start the verse. Not anything too elaborate. It could be something simple like health is wealth. Health is wealth. Another way to do this is to write your very last line first. So if your last line is, all men are created equal, you could write that last bar first and then find a way to lead into that and build up to your point, and then you end with that punchline or that big point that you're trying to make. Because a lot of times rappers just kind of come to whenever the end of the verse comes, it just comes, and then they just end up with like a filler line at the end of the verse, and you don't ever want that. You want your last line to hit hard as well as your first line. But anyway, back to the acronym formula. So let's say the point you're trying to make in your verse, the main thing you're trying to say is organic food rules. That's your statement you want to make. So you write that statement like down the sheet of like I'm not talking about typing on your phone. You can do it on your phone, but write it on a sheet of paper, a lined piece of paper. Write organic food rules, not in a straight line, but in a vertical line, vertically, ORGANIC, and so on. And so I use this as an example, and I said, okay, here's a verse I came up with using that acronym. And it keeps you on topic too. That's the crazy thing about doing it this way. So here's the verse. Organic, your planet is full of healthy options. Realize most mass-produced food is full of toxins. Grocery stores are full of chemical nonsense. Always read the label, be aware of the contents. Now, just because it's organic doesn't mean that it's healthy. And just because it says healthy doesn't mean it'll help me. Now, you know how it goes when it comes to mass production. It's all based on profit. Corporations blood sucking, cancerous chickens clucking, stuffed in filthy cages, funded by big banks paying immigrants low wages. Oil rigs in your nation spill chemicals in the water. On the farm they use that water and that food goes in your daughter. Do your research, teach first before talking. Realize real lies are advertised often. Utilize local growers using natural ingredients. Labeling laws are egregious, so practice disobedience. Every first letter of this verse represents the acronym. So this is just one basic form of a verse for practicing. Now, if you listen back to that verse, you'll notice that the word organic food rules was kind of spelled out because the first letter of each line was that letter. And I wrote that verse really fast because I automatically had a word that would pop into my head every time I came to the next line. And it just kind of automatically clicks like that. And I know the verse is basic, so you could obviously dress it up and add some multi-syllables between there and make it more entertaining and more rhythmic. But in general, if you have writer's block and you just want to write a basic verse or a basic poem, that's a good way to go about it, just to have something come to your head right away. That way you're not just going like, what do I say next? So if you're trying to say creating art is dope, you know what I mean? You write that CREAT, and next thing you know, you'll come in cans of paint loaded in my backpack, and then there you go. You're already off to the races at that point. You have your first line out, and that's usually the biggest struggle with starting a verse, is just coming up with your first line. So anyway, that's just one way of going about writing a verse, is using an acronym. Write it down the side of the page vertically, and you'll automatically have something to go off of. And and like I said at the beginning, you can write your the last line could be the first thing you think of or the main thing you're trying to say, and you could just kind of stick that in at the end of the verse, like down at the bottom, and find a way to lead into that. You know what I mean? You could even start off with that and end with that. It's kind of like tying your whole point together and make everything in the middle kind of support that main thesis statement. So I don't know how many MCs are on my channel or poets, But whether you're an MC or not, try that out. Let me know how it works for you guys. Thanks for checking it out. I'm gonna try to do more live videos here on YouTube. So let me know what you guys thought of this one and what you'd like me to cover next. I'm gonna upload some new music very soon. I've been recording a lot of new tracks with some legendary Los Angeles producers and artists, and I'll put those up soon. And also, a short tour is coming. We'll be going through Colorado coming up, which is my home state. So follow my Instagram. There's a new Instagram for my music page, and it's The Solid Savage. So at TheSolidSavage. Rated ill for life. Good night, people.